The city of Minneapolis is full of vibrant and unique neighborhoods, each with their own personality. And in one of those neighborhoods, there's something exciting happening. In the Kinney neighborhood, there's a buzz of energy in the air. Clean energy, that is. We caught up with some Kinney residents about their natural resource saving heat pumps and if they're worth what they're made of. So, are heat pumps worth all of the hype? Let's find out.
I had been thinking about getting a heat pump for many years. I was interested in the new technology. When we moved in here in 2001, one of the things I was thinking about was on-demand water heaters. So I was always looking at new technologies. And so when our furnace got red tagged, I found another vendor who sent a tech over and found out we did not need to be red tagged. So then I started thinking about heat pumps, but I was discouraged by people who said we lived in too cold of a climate and it would never work here.
The decisions to get the heat pump did partly involve my trust in my husband's decision, that he had researched it. That was part of his role with the project, and I know he knows a lot about those things. And when we decided to get the heat pump, go with that, there were the credits through the energy company that made it a bit more cost effective at the time. And then there was that the priorities of the environmental aspect of being able to ditch some of the fossil fuels.
My dad is a contractor, longtime contractor. He's retired now, but at the end of his career, he was doing a lot of work for Habitat for Humanity. One of the things that they do in habitat houses, especially in New England and in northern climates, is they try and make them as energy efficient as possible, because it's one thing to get a family into a home, it's another thing to make sure that their running costs, their operating costs are as low as possible. So they actually try and bring their habitat homes as close to sort of net zero metering as possible. One of the ways that they do that is by electrifying everything. And so heat pumps, among other things, are one of the things that they use. So mini splits, usually not whole house heat pumps. So that was where I sort of originally got the idea.
So we have two, and that's one reason I wanted to be involved in this. We got a mini split heat pump during just after the pandemic hit, because we were both working from home, and we sort of triage and made an office upstairs for us. We had a 6-month-old baby, and so we just needed to get some heat up there because our sort of story and a half house doesn't heat well on that half story, so it's pretty chilly. And so that was the first one we did. And then this last winter, we've liked that, and we just like the environmental impact and reduced costing in a natural gas utility to get a whole house heat pump for our ducted. So we replaced our old furnace and old air conditioner with a new high efficiency furnace and ducted whole house heat pump this last winter.
We have not had any surprises. Pleasant surprises in that it's easy to use. We have a thermostat that's very user-friendly, and we did sign up for the maintenance. So we have in the fall they come and look at everything get it ready for winter, and in the spring they come and get the air conditioner ready for summer. So we're constantly, having things looked at. So there's no surprises. And we did have one issue, and they came and it was a connection in the thermostat, and they fixed it immediately. It was easy peasy. But it's just a really nice system. Everything runs beautifully.
Living with a heat pump day to day has been really easy. You kind of set the program and then you can forget about it. There's an app on your phone you can use if you want to check out where things are at, or if you want to change those settings at all. It's easy to do from there. And you can also do it from the thermostat. There's more settings that you can access on the thermostat itself, and if you want to keep people from messing with those controls as well, you can lock them in on that as well.
One of the things that you have to get used to is, especially when it's colder outside, a heat pump will heat the house. It will feel like there is cold air, cooler air coming out of the vents in the house. And I remember when we first started, that was a real adjustment. Is my wife would say, "Are you sure this thing is on? It feels like it's blowing cool air." And I remember I said, "Okay, well, I think so. I've never had one before." So I looked it up, and they explained how when you have a combustion furnace, there are literal flames in there heating the air well above the temperature that ultimately is your target for the house. So if they're heating the air inside a furnace to 120 degrees in the furnace, and then when it's coming out of the vents in your house, it feels warm, like the air that would come out of a space heater, or the air that would come out of not your oven, but it's warm air, whereas the heat pump pushes air that is sort of much closer to the ambient temperature that you're looking for, at least when it's getting sort of closer to that target temperature. And so I remember that was an adjustment from a comfort perspective. Was you're used to the idea that when the heat kicks on, you're being blasted by air that's warmer than that you necessarily want your house to be. But I think a lot of people associate, oh, my system is working with, there is hot air coming out of my vents.
So comparing to our old system, you just don't notice it running. With the heating in the wintertime, it just runs it's just sort of continuous low speed blowing, just sort of a lower, you don't get that really hot heat that a furnace does and we do get that when it switches over to our furnace when it's really cold outside, when we need that. But we just don't notice it running. It's just more comfortable in the house.
We are pleasantly surprised that this new system is definitely holding up in the winter. No matter how cold it is in Minnesota, our heat pump and our dual efficiency furnace are keeping us warm all winter long.
In this winter, it was 20 below. Our heat pump functioned great. We were thinking that it was going to be so much more expensive, but really our gas bill keeps going down. It's been really pretty amazing to see that part fall. And even on those 20 below days, it's comfortable in the basement, it's comfortable on the main floor. It's been a good thing.
Our system switches over to the gas backup is the way that I think about it. It's all in the same system, so it happens seamlessly. I don't have to do anything. But when the thermostat detects that the exterior temperature has dropped below 10 degrees, then it will switch to the gas furnace. Prior to that, though, it holds up just fine.
It's a system that will work. It's just a matter of how much you want to push using your heat pump into the really cold part of the winter. And I plan to try that out next winter and push it down. And maybe it's just a project to, a month or two and see how it does. Because I do want to, and for our family, we do want to reduce our carbon emissions as one piece of it.
If I had a neighbor who was thinking about this and wasn't sure, I would invite them to look at my whole process of how I found the vendor, the process I went with the vendor, and looking at my utility bills to prove to them that this was a really good investment, and I think they should do it.
I would say to a neighbor on the fence about getting a heat pump that a heat pump is a good choice to go with. There's, environmentally, it's better than and more efficient than your old furnace and air conditioners as a separate unit, and comfort is more comfortable. So I would definitely say I'd lean towards the heat pump if I were you.
The finances are a big component for people. Money affects people and the bottom line, and also I do think that thinking about what their values are.
I fully believe that if somebody bought even some of the updated systems that you can have access to, you probably wouldn't need to use your gas at all unless you were talking about like a true northern Minnesota -40 degree. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know at which point there's really nothing that the environment will give you in terms of heat, but my understanding is that even down to something like 0, a decent modern mini split will heat your home without any trouble.
If money isn't an object and you want to try it out, you get a cold climate heat pump and you can run it all the way into winter. Having a dual fuel system, I should note too that they're designed that they work together, so the heat pump and the high efficiency natural gas furnace, they communicate, so they know if the heat pump isn't providing adequate heat, if it's getting so cold outside and its efficiency is dropping that it can't heat your house at the temperature you want it to, the natural gas furnace will kick in and switch over to that to provide heat.
Wow, there is certainly a lot to dig into on whether a heat pump is right for your home. But one thing is for certain, every little step toward clean energy is a step in the right direction for our neighborhood, for our city, and for our planet.